Hi guys, it's me again, Catherine, from the LuCookieknits podcast. Today it's Wednesday, the 22nd of June, and I'm recording a day late actually, because there was something coming up yesterday that I didn't know was coming up, so yeah, I'm recording today instead of yesterday. First of all, I want to thank a lot of people. First of all, I want to thank Tiffany from the Mitten podcast for the shout out on her podcast. It was my very first shout out on another podcast, so thank you very much for that. I knew it was coming because of our KL we are planning to do together, but yeah, it was something special anyway. Yeah, and then yesterday I watched the new Foxes and Socks episode with Beth and Carrie. And they also gave me a shout out. Thank you very much. That was really unexpected and I really was excited to hear it. And yeah, so I watched their show, I think since episode 1. As I mentioned on Instagram a few days ago, I was sipping my tea out of a mug that I won in their very first giveaway. So yeah, it was really nice of them that they gave my podcast a shout out. Then I also want to thank everybody who joined the group, who watches the podcast and who subscribed to my channel. That means really a lot to me, and yeah, it's just really fun to know that people like what I'm doing here. Yeah, so yeah, then I wanted to mention some podcasts I was watching lately. So during the last week I had to do a lot of pattern writing and sample knitting for my designs that were coming out last week. So while doing this I also tend to watch podcasts, and yeah, last week especially I yesterday watched the new episode of Hexen Handmade podcast, where she announced that she will be doing also some episodes in German and some in English. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how that's going. Then I watched a very special episode yesterday of the Yarngasm podcast, where Kristen from Woolenwein had a special guest, which was Laura from Jinx Yarns, and they it was a really fun episode, and they announced that they will dye something together, and I'm really excited for that. So yeah, maybe I can get hold of some of the yarn. Who knows? So I really liked their podcasts. One is the Dyer's Notebook by yeah, as I said, Laura from Jinx Yarns, and the other one is Yarngasm from Christine, who does the Woolenwein yarns. So I like them separately, but together it was great. So yeah, and as I mentioned, I think also last week and the week before, I'm watching the Knitting Expat podcast with Mina Philip, and I really like this podcast very much. So I started to go back and watch her past episodes, and it's always fun to see how people started. But I think she was a pro from the beginning. So yeah, great podcast. Yeah, so I have some strawberry and cheesecake tea in my forest mug with bunnies and foxes and owls and flowers, trees. I don't know what they are called in English. Sorry. And bears and deer. So yeah, I will take a sip, and as soon as I'm finished, I will start with the works in progress section. Oh, one thing. You maybe saw that I'm wearing a shawl today, and you may notice the pattern is so I knit this 2 years ago. It is the Whispering Pines shawl. Yeah, and it's done by Molly. It's done by Molly, the design of a homespun house. Yeah, so I really like that, and I knitted up in some Drops Baby Merino that was left over from when I did a cardigan out of this wool. So I really like this shawl, although it's going to be kind of hot today here in Germany. At least that's what they said on the TV. But I like wearing it anyway, and it matches my shirt. Yeah, so see you in a few seconds with the works in progress segment. Okay, so now to the works in progress. Since I'm recording a day late, I feel that I worked on so many things. So the whip section is kind of big this week. And I even got 2 of those, so which I will show afterwards. And I did some spinning, and I think that's what I'm gonna start with. As I told you, I have the Bliss TT wheel by Woolmakers, and it comes with those kind of bobbin that have the ridge here for the brake band, and yeah, they're kind of sturdy, and I really like spinning with the wheel. And I started to spin the BFL Seasell I got at the Rheinischer Wollmarkt a few weeks ago. So I'm not very that far. It's just, yeah, I just begun to spin the purple color, and I have the fiber here in the back. Sorry for the crinkling. The braid is dyed in a gradient, so it goes from this purple to a blue to a teal to a lighter teal, and then in the middle to a green color. So I'm into this blues and purples and greens at the moment, I think. So this is really fun to spin it. It draws like, yeah, it's just a dream. The braid is by let me have a look at the tag. It's by Regenbogenwolle. I hope this focuses. I'm not quite sure if you can read that. It's by Regenbogenwolle, and it's a blend out of BFL rose fibers. It says rose fiber Seasell. Yeah. So, and the colorway, it's called the Thief. So I really like this, and as I said, it spins up like a dream. But I had not that much time, or I had not that many occasions where I wanted to spin. But yeah, that was done in like, I think, 10 minutes. So sorry for the crinkling. Well, actually not sorry. I like crinkling on other podcasts. So yeah, that was the first whip that I'm working on. I have like a big pile of whips over here, and I'm just taking bag by bag and show you the stuff. So I'm not quite sure what is in every bag, but I can tell you this bag is the one you have seen already from Bling Your String. It's a cat fabric, and I really like it, and I think it's the medium size of her bags, and inside there are polka dot cherry like things, I would say. Oh, in here is as you may know, I started the Herbstblatt along on my podcast group on Ravelry. It started June 15th, and you can participate if you either knit something out of Regina's yarn, or if you knit one of her patterns that she released. So I started to knit her aquarium colorway into a sock. The pattern is by Mina Phillip. It's the cobblestone pattern from her Beyond Vanilla collection. I'm not that far in, but I really like what it does to the so how it knits up, and I think the combination of the colorway of the yarn and the pattern really, I like it. So that's how it looks in stockinette. You may have noticed I tend to like knitting socks from the toe up, because I kind of have, I would say, chubby ankles. I don't know if that's what you call it, but if I cast on a sock from the top down, so cuff down, I tend to have problems with the elasticity of the cast on edge. So I really like doing toe-up because then I can also make the socks as long as I want, and the my bind-off tends to be more stretchy than my cast-on, so that's why I'm totally toe-up at the moment. That can change. I think the traditional way to do socks in Germany, what you're taught when you first starting knitting, is cuff down. So yeah, and I also always tend to do my socks and also my sock patterns with a toe up, gusset, and heel flap heel. So I tend to so that leads to the fact that I don't have to pick up stitches around the heel flap, but I'm just decreasing stuff away, and that will turn into a heel flap. So I can show you that. No, not on the FO. The FO has a shadow wrap heel, but I will come to that later. So and this tiny marker is just for the beginning of the pattern and the end of the toe, so I can kind of go back for the second sock and count how many repeats of the pattern I had to the heel, and then also for the whole length of the sock later. So yeah, this is my entry for the hep split along, and of course I cannot win my own prizes, but I hope that many join and see what prizes we have. So, and it's Regina's aquarium colorway, so I think it's really pretty and I really like it. Yeah, so these were the socks. Now the next FO is in the coffee bag that came with the pumpkin spice latte kit by CC Almond. The bag is by Knit Run Dick, and it has a little zipper pull. That's a pumpkin spice latte. Yeah, and I really like those to-go cups. Yeah, I think it's the medium-sized bag. I'm not quite sure, or it's small. I don't know. In here is my entry for the for Regina's floral along, and I am using the Bluebell colorway by Woolmizer in the twin base. Oh yeah, here you can see like all the colors that are in. It's purple, blue, lighter blue. Yeah, some places it looks kind of teal to me, and I really like it, and I wanted to use like every single yard. And I think with the Woolmizer twin especially, you're kind of a little bit restricted in yardage for a shawl if you only have one skein, and of this color I have only one skein, and I had nothing that matched. So I was thinking, okay, I will do like my standard shawl shape, where you increase more than just for a regular triangular shawl, so that it gives you like this angle that is not 90 degrees but more like 45 degrees, and so it gets longer and not that wide, and that's really good, I think, for wearing your shawls bandana style, as I'm wearing the Whispering Pines right now. And yeah, so I started with garter stitch because I hate purling. That's like the main body shape of a shawl I prefer, and I added some eyelets, and yeah, this is really going very fast. I didn't knit that much on it. I just knit some rows yesterday evening. I think the last time you saw it I was like just before the first eyelet row, and now I have 2, and I will see how that goes. Yeah, so I really like how it knits up, and I'm using 4.5 millimeter needles. I think it's US 6. I'm not quite sure, but I think that's right. And I love that it gives me like this airy kind of look, so it would be a shawl that I could wear in the summer and not like overheat. And also the Woolmizer twin especially, I think it has 9 plies, and it's not a, technically I think it's not a fingering, it's more like on the edge between a fingering weight and a sport weight yarn. So yeah, I really like to use some bigger needles on that. And yeah, the twin base is actually the one that has nylon, and many people knit socks out of it, but I don't. I knit my socks before, and they were fine. They were more like sport weight socks, like a mixture between 4-ply and sport weight. So I could wear them in the shoes, but they're a little bit thicker, and so I also think that such pretty colors on my feet, I don't know. I prefer like the more sturdier sock yarn. I think it's super sturdy, but as I said, it's a little thicker, and I choose not to knit socks out of Woolmy's twin. That's how it is. So yeah, that's my shawl design, and that's coming along nicely. Oh, I didn't show the inside of the bag. The inside of the bag is orange with brown polka dots. So in here, that's the bag I got from Regina, Hebsblad Regina on Etsy. And I think I showed it as an acquisition last week with the minty green rose fabric on top and the pink circles on the bottom. It has this minty polka dots on the inside. And in here I have caked up something that's more like a needle adjacent project, although I started and then ripped it back because there was an issue which I didn't think about. So this will be a design, but you will probably don't see it because it's some surprise thing for a friend of mine, and she kind of asked me to design this, so it will be a little secret. I maybe will show you some close-ups or something. I don't know at the moment how I will do that, but yeah. So much for this bag. The next bag, which I feel like it's a little bit cheating to show it, but I did work on it. So I showed you these socks before. This is the Inizio pattern by Regina Satta. It was a mystery knit along, but I looked it up. It was not end of 2013, it was end of 2014. Whew, it's not as old as I thought. So yeah, I'm through with the first sock and I'm on the second sock, and I really did work on it, but it's just a tiny amount of, I maybe knit like 4 or 5 rows or something, but I did work on it. So, and yeah, so I did like 4 or 5 rows, but it's kind of pretty, and I wanted to do cables, but I recognized while knitting this, I seem to have forgotten how to work on DPNs, especially on socks, because I was knitting and constantly poking myself, and there was just not enough room to knit, and it was kind of crazy. So that's why I stopped like after 4 or 5 rows. I think here it's a little progress creeper. That's like all I did. But I'm really determined to finish this, and I really would love to have finished this socks by the next episode I'm filming next week. So I really hope to get that done, and then I also can enter those in the second sock of summer knit along by the Grocery Girls. So I will definitely do this and enter them in the knit along they have. I used a needle DPN cozy, also by Bling Your String, and it even comes with those little, I don't know if you can see them, these little metal rings on this, I don't know how it's called, on this thing here, where you can attach it to a bag. So those you can practically wrap around your DPNs so they like stay together, but I didn't do this because it's it is enough if I'm putting the sock in and like snapping it, and then it's secure and it doesn't poke out of the bag. Yeah, I didn't say something about the bag. The bag is also by Knit Rundick, and I got it at the retreat in Edinburgh I was last year. It was a kind of a table where you could bring something, and if you brought something you could take something, and I really liked the bunnies, so I took this drawstring bag, and I really like those for socks. Yeah, and I always have like a lockable stitch marker on the bag, so if I need it, especially for socks, if I need to mark something, I can just take that and attach it. So there are fewer bags on this table now, and I did work some rows on my featherweight cardigan. Yeah, first the wool. It's Wool Bonbon Merino. It's kind of this yarn that is not plied but has like three different, in this case 3 different strands that change the color, so they form a gradient. Yeah, and I think last time I showed you, I set a little progress marker, I was there, so that's also not much, but I tend to not knit cardigans because of the long purl back rows, because I have to knit a certain size for me, and so these rows tend to get longer and longer and longer, and it's just purling, and I hate purling. So yesterday I was thinking, yeah, you need to work on this, it has to get done. So, and I looked up reverse knitting, and that's exactly what I did. So I knit the row and then I reverse knitted it. So, and it's not as difficult as you would think. It's just a little you have to think what you're doing, and I'm knitting not English but continental style, like the German way, with the yarn wrapped around my left hand, yeah, my left index finger. So, and actually knitting backwards isn't that hard in this style. I think it's more challenging in English style. The only thing I cannot do is normally I'm picking the yarn, and that's not possible with knitting backwards, so I had to like throw it, but that's okay, you get used to it quite easily. So yeah, I think also the difference between here where I purled and here where I knitted backwards isn't really visible, and if there might be some slight difference in the tension, I think it will block out. So yeah, and essentially the featherweight cardigan is like super simple, and it's just from here on it's just knitting, and yeah, stockinette stitch, and it tells you to do, I think, 12.45 inches, but I fear that will, from under the arm, but I fear that will be like too short on me, so I think I have to go longer than that. And now with the reverse knitting, I think it's not that bad anymore. Yeah, discovery. So if you would like to have a tutorial on reverse knitting, I shot a little video yesterday while doing it, and I think I will put it up on my Instagram account later today. And yeah, if that's something that gets requested a lot, or if somebody says he or she wants to know more about it, I think I will use the video I shot yesterday that I cut to put it on Instagram, and yeah, to shorten it, because Instagram has some, you can only upload a few seconds, I think. I will use the full video and do a tutorial on YouTube. Yeah, I just can like do a voiceover of the video and tell you what I'm doing there. So yeah, I think the last time, yeah, I was just in the change between the blue with a bit green, and now I'm in the green with a bit blue. And the next color I think will be after this will be like only the green, and I think I have to then to go to the shop and order some more of this, because I don't think that this will actually be enough for the sleeves, and I really want them to be like a little longer than 3/4, maybe like bracelet or something. Yeah, so that's the featherweight cardigan, and now there's only one work in progress left, and I think you may have missed it already. This is in the other coffee bag by Knit Run Dig, which came with the pre-order of Cece Elman's book, Coffee with Cece. And as always, I have the bamboo straight needles in to knit on the blanket. Oh, I forgot. The featherweight cardigan is on 3.75 millimeter needles, which is a US 5, and they are Chai Goose interchangeables. I think I forgot to mention the needle size on some of those projects, but I will put them in the show notes so that you can go and have a look what I used for my projects. So the bag is getting quite small for the blanket, so I think I have to search something alternative very soon. And yeah, I added a lot of squares, I think. So let's see. These 3 on top are definitely new. This is the Knitting and Friends Strawberry Frappuccino. It was a mini I got at the Geeky Puff and Knitpalooza last year. This is some mystery yarn that I got, I think, correct me if it's wrong, Regina, I think I got this with the first order. I ordered the Christmas bag in your shop, and I think it included this mini. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, Mr. Yarn. This is actually something I got last year from Kerstin, Nemesis Seed. I think it's Lana Grossa Meilenweit. Not quite sure about that. I have the tags in the bag, but yeah, I think it was this one. And I think the last square you saw on this side of the blanket was this neon rainbow, and I added 8 squares here. This is the Knit Picks Felici in the Foxglove colorway. This is some left over from the shawl. That's Drops Baby Merino in grey. I think it has no special name. It's more like a light or middle grey or something. This bright, very bright square. Oops. Is again Regia Floromania, but in the Neon Beach colorway, which I used for socks that I knit for my mom, a pair, and I knit a pair for myself just before I started the podcast, so I couldn't show them like brand new, but yeah, they're on my Instagram feed if you want to see the socks I knit out of this. And this is just the pink part of the yarn. There was also a lighter blue part. I think. So this is again something I got from Kerstin last year, and it's I believe Regia in the design line in the Café Facette color, in a Café Facette colorway. So I'm not good at like telling apart all those commercial sock yarns that I did not use myself, so I think it's the Café Facette colorway. This one is the mini I showed last week, that I got from Miss Mothballs in the order I did there, and this is the one where she noted that she used this for her featherweight cardigan. And yeah, so now I have a square of this black and pinks in my blanket. This is a one that I got with an order from Regina. It's her Yuppie colorway. It's called after the canary bird, I think they're called. Her grandparents had when she was, I think, little. Maybe it's still there, I don't know. Sorry, Regina, if I said something wrong yet now. But I really like this speckly green and light green colorway. This is again some mystery yarn. I think I got this also from Kerstin. I lost some tags while the minis were sitting in a bag, so I'm not quite sure if that's right. And if you can see this, it was like a tiny bit too less of the yarn, so I just added some of the baby merino I used here, and I think it kind of fits nicely into this, but it's more ends to weave in. Yeah, and the same happened with this square. This is also Drops Baby Merino in hell lavender, I think it's the color. It's like a light lavender color. Yeah, and there I was missing quite a few meters, so I added something of the blue that I used before. I think it came from this skein here, from this mini skein. Yeah, so now I have 6 by 5 if I'm squaring this off. And I think for covering our bed, which is 1.8 meters by 1.8 meters, it's not quite a queen. Maybe it's queen size. It's not king size. It's not a full. Yeah, so it's something in between. And for covering it, I think I might need, if it hangs off the bed a little, I think I need at least 20 by 15 or even 20 by 20. I'm not quite sure. So I have to go and check that. But as my husband said yesterday or the day before, oh, that's pretty. When is it finished? And I was like, maybe by 2020 or something. Because I would need, if it's 20 times 20, I think I would need 400 squares. And these are not the 24, 25, yeah, not even 30 squares. So I think I have to teach him how to knit, and then he has to knit some squares. And so it's like a joint work and will be finished earlier. Or I just tell him, if you want it to be finished, you have to like do something for it. Yeah. So these were all the whips for this week. Those were quite a lot. And yeah, I have 2 FOs to show you in the next segment. Oh, maybe 3. Yeah, I have to check that out. And as if you're wondering, the tea was quite hot before, so I don't know if it's something I just I do, or if it's more like a thing we Germans tend to do. But when I was little, my mom always put sparkling water into my tea when it was too hot to drink, but it was like time that you could drink it. So I put some sparkling water into my strawberry cheesecake tea, and I really like it. It's really refreshing, and it's not that hot anymore. It's more like, yeah, it's good at good drinkable temperature, and it has this little sparkling thing. I think it's something yeah, some people don't understand why Germans tend to like fizzy drinks, but yeah, that's just the way it is. And when I was in Michigan, they had like fizzy drinks, fizzy water, but I tend to go to Maya, to the grocery store there, and they had one brand of German sparkling water, which was Gerolsteiner, and it was so expensive, but every now and then I bought like a bottle because I really missed it. And yeah, Germans and their fizzy drinks. So now I will have a break shortly, and then I will go on to my finished objects. Okay, now on to the finished object. And then, as I said, I have 2 knitted ones and 1 sewn one. I think I will start off with the sewing finished object. And yeah, my mom bought some fabric, and she wanted to have pillow covers made out of it, and I chose to go like the easy way and just made some of those hotel style ones that are just like you have a rectangular piece of fabric and you fold it up and then you sew it and it's a pillow cover. So she bought this fabric that has flowers and this paisley motifs, and yeah, it's just very colorful, very pretty, and she likes this kind of style very much. So I folded it up, and then here you can see it's this pillow this hotel cover where you put the pillow into this fold here in the inside, and then you just like close it that way, and so it can sit on her sofa. Yeah, and it says a spark of happiness down here. I'm not quite sure what the company is that designed this fabric, but if anybody wants to know, I'm pretty sure I can go to the shop here and find out where she bought it. Yeah, and this is the other one where there's this big flowery paisley kind of motif that is centered here, and it is supposed to look like as if it were sewn on top of the thing here, where you can see here is this zigzag line indicating like a zigzag stitch to like sew it on, but yeah, that's not, it's printed. And on the back side here it has this cross stitch motify thing with little crosses forming like almost one of these patterns you can find on Norwegian cardigans. Yeah, so that was actually something that was done within minutes, and that's what I like about sewing, is you can sew something in 5 to 10 minutes and it's done, it's finished. And yeah, knitting not so much. Knitting just needs some more time. Yeah, so that will go to my mom. My other finished object, the first knitted one, is also going to my mom, and I showed these on the podcast, and they were work in progress, and these are the socks for my mom's husband, and there are 2 of them. They are not matching, but I did not want them to match. I just think it's more fun if the socks are not really matching, and they are like different enough, so I think you could take them like this way and they would kind of match, with except of the tip here, which would be so I will just quickly pop them onto a sock blocker so you can see like what I did there. This is the Schoppel Sauberball in the Schoko Creme colorway, which is chocolate cream. And I found it so funny. Yesterday I watched an episode of Mina, and she was knitting socks. It was an old episode of the Knitting Expert podcast, and she were knitting socks out of Sauberball, and she discovered the little label saying knitting can be addictive. And yeah, I always find it hilarious if I see this little tag. But yeah, I don't use Sauberball that often, but if I do, I really like and appreciate the tag. So this is just a pattern I made up that it stretched, looks like little cubes on the foot. The back is just 2x2 ribbing, because I did not know how the leg circumference of my mom's husband was, so I thought this would like scrunch the fabric a little in if it's like too thick, and if not, it will just stretch and be a nice whip pattern. I knit them toe up, and I didn't do a gusset and the heel here, but what I did was I did a shadow wrap heel, and I discovered this type of heel just a few months ago, and what I really like about it is it doesn't create any holes. Yeah, you can't see it here because the sock is in the darkest part for the heel, which was really like hell to knit because it was like such dark wool, and yeah, it wasn't really nice because I only could do it like on the day and not in the evenings. Yeah, and I think that also happened with this sock, but here it was not that. Here was more like a brownish color, but here it was like the really dark color. So, and yeah, so it forms a very nice heel. It's just kind of it's a short row heel that just uses a special technique for the short rows, and thus it doesn't create any holes, and you don't like knit around the front like you do in many other short row heels, but you just work it on the back. So even if I would have used like a self-striping color or something, here wouldn't be like a line of differently colored fabric. And I think I'm gonna write up the design for this, and we'll call them something like transforming socks or something, because the pattern, if it's not stretched, it looks totally different. As you saw earlier, there were these cubes. Yeah, it's the darkest part of the sock. Maybe you see it up here. There were these cubes. If it's stretched, and if it's not stretched, it forms this little rings. So I think I will call them the transformed vanilla sock. Yeah, and I think I will write up the pattern like soon, and if you want to test this pattern, just send me an email or contact me on Instagram or contact me on Ravelry, so I can send the pattern out to you if you like to test this. For this sock I used 68 stitches because it was a men's sock and it was a size European 44, which is quite long, and even the sock blocker is a little too small. But I think I can easily adjust it to be like 64 and maybe 60 or 72 and 56. So my sock patterns most of the time go from 56 stitches to 72 stitches. And yeah, so I think I will definitely write this design up like the transformed vanilla socks, and then I will like size it, and if you want to test it, just let me know. Yeah. Okay, so the second, and this was in my Kicks and Giggles bag I got in a kit from White Birch Fiber Arts with yarn. I can show it maybe next week sometime. That was something like rainbow unicorn whatever, so I had to buy it. And then the last FO of this week is in this bag. It's the Christmas bag by Herbstblatt Regina that I'm still using, and I think I will not stop using it. I'm not quite sure, but I think I will not. It has green fabric on the inside, so it's very Christmassy. And in here I have the thing you did not see, like in its full. Yeah, so it was halfway finished last week. I think I was somewhere here in the polka dot section. It is a cowl. It is knit out of her Hydrogenia Garden colorway. It is a long cowl, so when you wear it, it kind of scrunches down and has a lot of fabric and is really warm. and I finished this. I didn't weave in the ends yet. So it starts with a twisted rib, then it goes into circles, kind of polka dot thing with moss stitch. Then there's a textured section. Then there is the eyelet polka dot section. Then there is again a textured section, and then I don't see if you can see it, but there are bubbles, a bubble section. And I know bubbles are controversial, not everybody likes doing them. I just like the feel and the look. These were made a special way, and it's not that hard. I think it's just a row. The bubble row takes a bit longer than the normal row, but I think it's totally worth it. And this used like 400 meters approximately of her yarn. And it's designed like that if you think you might run out of yarn. You can repeat just the moss circle section up here instead of the bubbles, or if you don't like the bubbles. So yeah, because the bubbles take a little more yarn than a normal section does. So if you would knit this and would think you would run out of yarn, then you could just repeat the other section once. You could also start with the bubble section and see how far you get. And what you always also can do is in between these textured sections, you can shorten them or even make it longer if you have more yarn. So it's a very versatile design, I think, and I really like how it came out. And I already showed it to Regina, and I think she said she liked it also. So I have to go and write up the pattern for that, and then I will see that it gets test knit very soon. Yeah. So, and I think the camera is not quite catching the color of this. It is just beautiful. It has like this purples and pinks and greens and a little grayish. They all have a little grayish undertone and a little orange, and it's just like a highly variegated colorway, but it's not like loud and crying, and it's just beautiful in itself. So it is as the colorway says, Hydrogenia Garden. It is inspired by, I think, a Hydrogenia Garden she visited in Ireland a few years ago, and she captured the colorway, and I saw this colorway and said I have to do something out of this. And I knew it wouldn't be socks because I want everybody to see this. So now it's a cowl that you could wear with this, like showing off the bubbles, or you could just turn it around, showing off the mossy circles, and you will always see something of the eyelets. Yeah, so I really like how this turned out, and I think if you want to test knit this, just contact me, and I also will talk to Regina and see what she thinks about this. Okay, that's all the FOs I have for this week. Okay, so acquisition section and enabling. I don't have any yarn related enabling, because after the big yarn haul of last week and the week before, I'm trying to be good at buying yarn, so I try to knit stuff out of my stash and not get too much into my stash, because you can see like a little piece of my stash right behind me. There is like some sewing related stuff I have to repair, and fabrics and stuff, but all of this behind me, and it goes over there, like there. This is all like my stash, except for the books that are up there and some sewing supplies, and yeah, another thing of books, and yeah. So what I want to say is just I need to knit stuff out of my stash and not like add to my stash like every week. So I am not on a yarn diet exactly, but more like of a being conscious about buying yarn. And I was thinking maybe I could like finish 3 things out of my stash, and then it's okay to buy one more, so that the number of skeins will go down. And yeah, even also I don't have any storage anymore for more yarn, so I have to knit things out to get more in. Yeah, so that's why I don't have any yarn related acquisitions. Yeah, so I went with my sister-in-law last week to a I don't know how it's called, Baumarkt. It's like Home Depot or something in the US, but they had like a little craft section, and I looked through the stuff, and it was acrylic yarn, and it was not good, but I wanted to try washi tapes, so I bought 2 washi tapes. Oops, cat fluff. Yeah, I bought some washi tape, one pink one with flowers and the green one, and so far I really like it. So I use that in my planner, where I do plan out my designs, and where I have my daily calendar to mark things, and yeah, it's working quite nicely. And I love that it's it's kind of removable when you use it, and that you can like just rip it and don't need like a scissor or something. So yeah, I like this washi tape. And then I went on a little my mom and I went shopping last week in a place where we don't necessarily go shopping very often, and they had like a little magazine section, and I bought this huge magazine which is called Sockenbibel für passgenaue Socken nach Maß. And actually I read about this magazine before when I think Kerstin was it on Instagram, Nemesis Seed. She was saying that she bought this, and it's actually the German translation of a book by Kate Atherley. I'm not quite sure what the English name of the book is, or was, or yeah, where you can find it, but I think I might try to link it in the show notes. Yeah, so it has like 16 sock designs in it. I think now that I flipped through the pages, I might have preferred to buy the English version of this, because German patterns seem to be unnecessarily complicated. There are just certain ways they write patterns for the last centuries that like that stayed around, and that are not really intuitive. I think they tried to switch out the style a bit, but yeah, so but they don't really get it every time. So that's one of the reasons I also I tried to, so when I'm writing a pattern, I'm writing it in English, and only afterwards I go back sometimes and translate it into German. But then I try to do it the English way, so that the German version of the pattern is as logical and as easy to follow as the English version. So I thought I would go through this and show you the different designs that are in here. Yeah, there is like an overview page with the socks that are in here. Then you go into how to size your socks and how to measure your foot, what you can do if certain if you have like a wide foot or a high arch. Then it goes into the different shoe sizes in for kids, for adults, for men, for women, in the different systems. So if you have like here as an example the women's, if you have like me a European size 41, that would be a UK size 7, a US size 8.5. It says that this is your expected foot circumference. This is your expected sock circumference, so it's like 2.5 centimeters negative ease, so that would be 1 inch. That's how long your foot really is, and this says how long you should knit the sock, how long the sock should be, which is also 1 centimeter difference, so that you have a nice negative ease. And I think that's kind of really helpful if maybe my mom says, hey, could you knit me some socks? And I would be, what's your size? And then she could tell me her size and I would know what to do. So I think that's kind of helpful. Then it goes into gauge and gauge swatches and how to knit with DPNs and two circular needles or magic loop, which I think are kind of new techniques in Germany. The traditional way would be DPNs. Then how you do a gauge swatch and round. How you can do the different heel flap patterns. For example, the slip stitch one and the one that's really popular at the moment, the Eye of Partridge, that in German is just called Netzmuster. So then how to graft and Kitchener. So then it goes into basic socks like toe up and cuff down. So that's like a lot of tables. Then how many there's just like a table where you can look. You are knitting a you need 24 centimeters of circumference, so you would have if you have a different gauge from 4 to 9, if you have a gauge of about 6, you would go and cast on 45 stitches. No, 54 stitches. This is for toe up. You would cast on 18, so 9 and 9. Then you would go and have 76 stitches before you go to the heel in the gusset, and so on and so on. That could be helpful for beginners, but maybe also a bit confusing. So then it talks about how cables pull everything in, and then how to put in two-colored patterns. So and then it goes into the socks that are in here. The first one is called the basic rib sock, which is this one. Oops. So that's just like one step up from the toe up and cuff down instructions that were in here, and it has a ribbed pattern. And here is another picture of it. I think I like the yarn, and that the pattern on the leg here transitions from the leg into the heel flap. But it's just a very basic sock. Yeah, then you have the Maple Ridge sock. That is more like, I think, a pattern for men, they suggest, and it's just like this texture, again on a blue sock, and the heel looks a little bit different. I'm not quite sure what type of heel it is, but it looks as if there was like a band under the foot that pulls the stitches in. So I think I have to look at that and see if there's something I can learn. Then you have the Valencia sock, which is this orange lacy pattern that I quite like. It kind of reminds me of the monkey socks, but just the lace is a little off on this sock, where it is not on the monkey socks. So that's only top down, but I think I could like reverse it into toe up. Then you have like this Wellesley sock that has a cable going up and down the leg, and it's ribbing and a cable. Yeah, I quite like this sock, and it has toe up and cuff down. Yeah, then the next sock, I don't think that it's the original name. It says it's the Geheimniskrämer Socke, which would be the Secret Keeper socks. Yeah, and I think it's cables that are more complicated. The next pattern is the Jarvis sock, which is this one. Yeah, it has like this twisted stitches creating ribs and twists and a little lace, and yeah, it looks quite interesting. Yeah, then it goes into two colored socks, which I think with this one I'm not quite sure if it's Fair Isle or if it's mosaic knitting. Anyway, this is the sock. It looks quite complicated, but I guess it might just not be that complicated. However, I'm always a bit careful with stranded colorwork or mosaic knitting on socks, because they tend to get tight very easily, so that you cannot really go in and out of the socks that easily anymore. And it's just maybe something that I experience, but yeah, so I would have to cast on a ridiculous amount of stitches, and then it wouldn't be that stretchy anymore. So yeah. Oh, and it's called Capita sock. So the next one is the Lindisfarne sock, and I'm pretty sure this is mosaic knitting with slipping stitches, because it kind of looks like that. And I really like the design, but I would have chosen maybe other colors, but that's just a personal preference. And this one is toe up, and it comes with a lot of charts. And then there is the Harcourt sock, which is a lace sock with a kind of simple zigzagging lace motif, but I think it's very beautiful, and I think I would knit those. Maybe I will cast them on like next week or something. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Then there is the Wellington Road sock with a very complicated looking cable up the side. And yeah, so I really like this, but again, I maybe would, oh yeah, it goes from 62 to 82 stitches, so it pulls in quite a lot. So I would have guessed. Yeah, and I like that it's like just plain on the front and the cable on the back, on the side. So it's like business in the front, cable on the side. Yeah, so yeah, then there is like a men's sock Aran pattern, which has this honeycomb cables. And it's very difficult to hold the magazine so that you don't can like see too much or too you can't see the charts because it's kind of difficult to do this. And then there is another chapter about making your socks fit. If you have special things like very small feet or very big feet, or why do they tend to slide down your foot or something, then what's the best shape of the toe for you with your and then there is the Fritz Caraldo Kniestrumpf, which would be translated to knee-high socks. And I really love those. And I really would love to make them. But I'm not quite sure if I'm A, that patient, and B, how heavily I would have to modify this. I wanted to knit knee-highs for a very long time, but that's something I never got round to, and also maybe mainly because I'm afraid that they won't fit, and it's a lot of work, and I really would have to modify them heavily, I think. So I really like those, and maybe I will do them in the future. So that was the last pattern in the Sockenbibel. But this, as I said, this is also available as a book in English, and I will link to the show notes where you can find the English version of that. I'm not quite sure if it's in print still, but maybe you could get it on Amazon or something if you really liked it on English, and then So in Germany, in the German version, you can get like in the kiosk where they sell magazines and stuff. So I really was glad I bought this, and it came with the German version. They always think they have to add something, so you buy the magazine. So they always come with a little goodie, and this came with DPNs. I have several issues with these DPNs. First of all, they are long, but they are not equally long. They have like little differences in their size. And I measured with a needle gauge. They are like 3.25 millimeters. I think that would be a US 3 or something. And I've never knit socks out of sock weight yarn in these big needles, and so also they feel quite cheap, and I don't know if I would really knit with them. So I'm not quite sure why they are giving this with the magazine, because if I think if a beginner sock knitter would buy this and buy sock yarn and then go on to like start knitting on these DPNs, first of all, I think if you would try a toe up pattern out of this magazine, they would really be disappointed, because toe up is fiddly enough on DPNs if you ever tried to cast on toe up on DPNs, and it takes a lot of patience, and then you would end up with a very holy a sock with very many holes, because the gauge is just too loose. And so I'm not quite sure why they did include this 3.25 millimeter needles with a sock magazine. Anyway, I like the magazine, I just don't like the DPN choice, so they should have put in smaller DPNs, I think, and not 3.25 millimeters. It just feels like they had them laying around and they had to go out and they were like, I'm sticking with a sock thing, because I think that's maybe what happens when editors of such magazines think they are not knitters themselves. They may know like the side where the business side of knitting, but at the same time they are not really, they know that you can knit in socks on DPNs, but they don't know that 3.25 millimeters is just too big for socks. So yeah, rant over. On to the next acquisition. As I said, I don't have any yarn related acquisitions this week, but I have some sewing related acquisitions. First of all, I bought some interfacing that I can iron on, just to as I think I already mentioned this, but as a price for the for both KLs, I think I will do some project bags, and yeah, so I really needed this interfacing to just give the fabric a little stiffness. It's just a very thin interfacing, and it's just like to if I'm using a very thin fabric, because I love if project bags are kind of squishy and not like super stiff, so I think this will be the right thing. Then I bought some and the Germans might recognize this I bought this on Butinette. It's a online store for crafty things. And I always tend to fold the fabric that way that you don't see the right side of the fabric, but this is just some pink and hot pink polka dots that I might use as a lining. And I bought the same fabric in blue. It's like a denim blue. Oops. A denim blue and a dark blue. That's also for, I think, might be interfacing or contrasting applications or something. So what I bought then was one of their quilting packages that has, I think, 7 different fabrics, and I bought this one, which is actually the same one as the pink one on Regina's bag, just in blue. So then it has some square Karo it's called in German. I think it's plaid in English. Not the most exciting one. Then there is a birds and roses fabric. Oops, they're upside down. And I really love those pink flowers and the pink and blue birds. Yeah, this is really pretty. Then there is a coordinating stripe one to this, with the pink and the green and the teal. Then there is again the birds, but they are now on blue ground, and the birds are those beige color, and but the flowers are the same pink. So yeah, and I think this would maybe be a really nice project bag, maybe in this combination. Yeah, maybe. Then there's like a plain beige top fabric, and then there is some quilted looking fabric, patchworky, which has the flowers and the polka dots and plaid and stripes and more flowers. Yeah, this was just really fun. But the one thing I really wanted, and I might have bought like a whole meter, I think. Yeah, a whole meter. I have to turn it around because you can't see it. Were these little foxes on these bubbly hills with trees and rain and just and little mushrooms, and one fox wears a hat, and I think this fabric was kind of cute, and I think that's maybe the first project bag I'm going to trying to make, or I'm sewing up for myself, would be this fox fabric, in combination with the denim fabric I showed you before, the polka dot one. That would be on the outside, and maybe then I would put a third fabric on the inside, maybe the blue and blue polka dots. We'll see. So, yeah, that was the fabric acquisition I have this week. That were all the acquisitions and for this week. Yeah, see you in a few seconds with the KL. Okay, so welcome to the knit-along section of the podcast. We have 2 knit-alongs planned right now. One that started on the 15th of June, which is the Herbstblatt along, where you can use Herbstblatt Regina's yarn and also her patterns. I showed you the sock earlier that I'm knitting out of her aquarium colorway. So whips are allowed. So whatever you are knitting out of her yarn can go into, you can post. There's a no separated FO and cheddar thread, because I would love to have all in one place and just mark your finished object with finished object on top. And I think I stated in the thread on the Ravelry group how to do this. So this KL goes to the 15th of September, so it's quite a long time to enter. You can also enter multiple times with separate objects. So if you knit like one of her patterns and then you knit something out of her yarn, that would be 2 entries. It just needs to be 2 finished objects to get 2 entries, or 3 for getting 3 entries. So that's going to the 15th of September. As I announced last week, Regina told me that she wanted to sponsor a prize for that. So one winner can go to her shop and pick a skein that he likes, and Regina will send that to the person. I will be doing a project bag, and I think I've got some very cute fabric that that will be perfect for a project bag as a prize for that. And also I will donate several of my patterns. I'm not quite sure yet which ones, but I think one of them might be the whole Siebengebirge collection that I published on the 20th of May was the first part. On the 20th of June came out the second part, and on the 20th of July will come out the third part. So by the time the KL ends, the whole collection will be published, and you can get the 9 patterns as a prize. And I think there might be like some individual pattern prizes. So come into the group and post and chatter, and just tell me what you're planning to do if you're planning to enter the KL. I know that announcing a KL which has like a specific dyer or a specific person can be very restrictive, because not everybody can like get the yarn, or so that's why I added the option of also knitting her patterns to give more people a chance to participate in the knit along. So just come into the group and knit your stuff, show it, talk about it. I always love to see what other people are doing, and I also try to comment regularly and to share what I'm doing. And so come to the group and share what you're doing. The second KL I'm co-hosting with Tiffany of the Knitting from the Mitten podcast. Last week I spoke a little bit in detail about this KL, so we thought it would be so we had this idea and we called it the Connecting Continents KL. So the idea is you knit something out of maybe a yarn that is local to you, so it doesn't have to be like from where you are, but just the country. And then you go and search for a pattern that comes from another part of the world, or you do it vice versa. You knit some yarn that comes from another part of the world, and you go search for a pattern that is from your country. So yeah, and we thought that would be a really fun idea. In this, we decided to say that whips are not allowed, because we want it to be like a conscious choice of a yarn and something, and the pattern that somehow go together very well, and that support this idea of connecting the continents. So prices for that, we decided that we will dye up yarn. So I will be dyeing up 2 skeins that I will send to her. One is for her and one is for the giveaway. And then I will dye up 2 other skeins, so that I can give away also one color on my one skein on my group. So that there will be 1 skein I dyed on my group and 1 skein I dyed on her group, and then she will send me 1 skein she dyed for the giveaway, and we'll keep 1 skein. So you can win like in total 4 skeins of yarn, and then I think she will add some prizes to her group, and I will add some prizes. So for me it will be again some patterns, and I think I will also do for this like a project bag. I think that's a good variety of prizes. This KL starts on the 1st of July, so in 8 days, and it will go to the 30th of September. So what I will be doing later is I will be opening a thread, a cheddar thread, and I think for this KL it will be cheddar thread separated from finished objects, so that the drawing will be easier. So I like the other way more, that you have like it all in one, but it makes the drawing a little bit complicated. And for this we hope that many people join, so I hope this will be a very fun KL. So, and go check out her podcast as well as Regina's podcast. So this is the Knitten from the Mitten podcast for Tiffany, and the Herbstblatt Regina podcast for Regina's. And I think that was all I have for the knit-alongs. Okay, now that's the last segment of the podcast, and I really wanted to so thank you for watching. If you were a new viewer, thank you for checking the podcast out, and if you were returning, thank you so much for your support, and I really love how this is turning out. So I really love doing this, and I really love to hear that people like the podcast. Also I did release the second part of the Siebengebirge collection 2 days ago. I will insert pictures at the end of all the 6 patterns that are available right now, and I really wanted to thank everybody who commented or said that they really loved the pattern, or just liked on Instagram or bought them. It really means a lot if I as a designer get like feedback that is saying, hey, I appreciate what you're doing and I really like your stuff. So that's always great to see that things I imagine in my head and then knit up and write down are really appreciated, and somebody is like, that's really cool and I really like that. And it's not just like if people buy it, it's also when people talk about it and say, I really love what you did there, and it's always like such an uplifting feeling. So thank you all for the support. So I'm not quite sure if this was a shorter episode this week or if it was like a longer or the same. I'm not quite sure. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to my husband and his sister. They just started a gaming podcast last week. So if you're a knitter and you're also a gamer, or your husband is a gamer, they just released their first episode, and the podcast is called the German Geeky Gamers Podcast. You can find them on Instagram under that name, and I think I will put links down in the biography in the comment box on YouTube, so you can find them. And if you want to check them out, they would be like, they would really be, they would like it. So if you're into gaming, just check them out. They did last week a segment about the E3 that was, I think, 2 weeks ago, where they talked about upcoming games and also about what they are gaming. And I'm looking over because they have like their stuff over there, because they are planning the next episode that will go live, I think, on Sunday. So with that, I want to say thank you all again, and until next week. And I hope you have lovely weather wherever you are. It's starting to get better here. It was a lot of rain and flooding, and but now they said this week will be quite nice. Okay, so that's it for this week, and bye.